Hi there, Shiena. My name is Ellen, and I'll be correcting this set of essays for you today. I'm happy to see that you have submitted a set of essays for correction. So let's take a look at what you've written here so that we can help you prepare for IELTS. This is the essay about ex-prisoners and if they should, they're the best people to talk to teenagers about crime. Let's see what you said. It is sometimes thought that prisoners who got freedom are the best ones to teach teenagers about the dangers of involving a crime. In my opinion, while it is of great help for them to talk regarding the issue to young adults, I consider that other people in the community can also give good insights. Okay, I really like your second sentence. I think what you did here is a great way to approach this essay. So this is very good. The first sentence needs a little work in terms of the language used. It's not 100% accurate, so I would like to clean it up. So, it is sometimes thought that prisoners who got freedom is a little awkward. So there were other ways you could have said this. Prisoners who have been released from jail or prisoners who have finished serving their time. These are a couple of the different expressions you can use here. Okay. And then this is also a little awkward, the best ones. I mean, ones is a word we use a lot as a pronoun for a variety of things. Here it sounds a little awkward. And the reason is because it doesn't refer back to anything. Okay? So you can use this if what it's referring to is clear, but here you haven't referred to anything, so it doesn't work. Last thing in this sentence is this about the dangers of involving a crime. This is not accurate. We don't say it like this. So are the best people to teach teenagers about the dangers of being involved in a crime or about the dangers of involvement in crime. One of those would have worked, okay? And then, as I said already, the second sentence is very good, so we can leave it alone. So, prisons can be good after they have been released from jail with a lot of realizations about life. Okay, so you meant prisoners, but you wrote prisons. So it should be prisoners. And then this, good. What does that mean here, really? So I know that the prompt also used the word good. It said good citizens, but I would like to encourage you to use words that are a little more precise than good. So there are certain words like good, big, small, nice. So these words aren't particularly descriptive, and they also seem rather elementary in terms of their level. So I would encourage you to use words that are a little more advanced than this and certainly a little more precise, okay? So prisoners can be, how about this, exemplary citizens after they have been released from jail with a lot of realizations about life. They can give true to life experience, well, true to life stories to teenagers, reminding them that there are dangerous consequences if they engage in such activities. So you can see I had to change around a few things grammatically. We don't put will after if. So it's fine. I like it, but grammatically it just needs to be a little more accurate. So, moreover, it has more impact to the teenagers since they know that they really experienced it and regretted it somehow. Thus, they tend to follow them. All right. I think your ideas here are great. I think you've got a lot of really interesting things to say. The only problem is that it's a little underdeveloped. Okay, so you've got a couple of really nice arguments, but I really think you should have gone a step further to explain them. You could have given an example, you could have given some sort of a statistic, something, but it does need a little more insight. So, here, for example, reminding them that there are dangerous consequences if they engage in such activities. So, give us an example. You could give a statistic. So, for example, something like, for example, A recent study showed that high schools implementing such programs found that crime among teenagers dropped by 25%. Okay, so that's a way that you could support this by giving some examples, some tangible examples that make it more fully developed and also give it a little more weight. Okay, and then here too, you could add just a little extra piece of information, a little extra detail here. All right, let's move on. Um, so now this I don't really agree with on the one hand. It's a little strange that you're putting it here. Usually what we do is we have on the one hand, and then after that in the next paragraph we have on the other hand. These two expressions go together. So you're not supposed to use one without the other. Okay. So here I don't think it belongs at all because like I said, it's usually in the one paragraph and then the following one we have on the other hand. You don't have on the other hand here. So I would just get rid of this altogether. I suspect that what you're trying to do here is show contrast between this paragraph and the previous paragraph, but there are other ways to do that. So, for example, one of the things you could have said here is in contrast. Okay, so in contrast, anyone from the community can give realistic advice to young adults. Firstly, parents are there to support and give advice to their children from the very start. Home is where the children learn from the environment that will greatly affect how they behave outside. Secondly, in schools where teachers act as second parents, here put an S. Okay, grammar here has a problem. Guide them in every possible way in values since they are prone to participating crimes due to peer influence. All right, grammatically this has some issues. Not really sure how to fix it without changing the entire sentence. Let's try it like this. So, secondly, teachers so teachers act as a second parent. Well, yeah, let's do it like that. Secondly, teachers at school act as a second parent, comma, guiding the teenagers in every possible way. You don't need in values since they are prone to participating in crimes due to peer influence. Okay, so that makes it read a little better. Consequently, teenagers will be unlikely. Well, you don't get into misdemeanor, you get into crime. So that's the right expression there. This too, I think, needed a little extra development. Okay, so can you give us an example about the teenagers? Can you add a little more, a statistic, maybe a for instance, something that can support it. Or again, a report from the New York Times said that teenagers who spent time talking to their teachers, were 16% less likely to engage in crime. So a statistic like this, or some other piece of support that supports your statement would be helpful here. Now, I see here that you have an additional body paragraph. We typically recommend a 4-paragraph structure. So let's see what you wrote here, see if it was necessary or if it could have been incorporated into one of the other paragraphs. Finally, it does not matter whoever gives the talk to the teenagers as long as it will give reasons for them to learn from not committing to any kind of felony in the future. All right, grammar here is an issue. So finally, it does not matter who gives the talk to the teenagers as long as he or she gives reasons for them not to commit any kind of felony in the future. Okay. Furthermore, everyone has the capacity to show good values and behavior regardless of their background. All right, I don't think this is particularly necessary. I think you could have gotten rid of it. Quite frankly, it doesn't really help either argument. Here you're talking about other people in the community. Here you're talking about prisoners. So this is just saying, you know what? It doesn't really matter. So it doesn't particularly help your argument here. I would just get rid of this whole paragraph. You don't need it. Okay? So, in conclusion, while there are differences in perspective, I argue that anyone from the community can share with teenagers, provided that they have good and sound judgment in the crime issue. Okay, I would have liked something a little different. Good and sound judgment in the issue of crime. That sounds better than in the crime issue. It reads a little awkward. So, there's definitely some nice things happening in this essay for sure, but I would change a few things. Some of the grammar, some of the language, as we said, was a little awkward. I think task achievement, you needed a little more support just to really develop the answer more fully. And then, of course, you didn't need this at all. This wasn't particularly helpful for your argument, so I would just get rid of it. Okay. So some good things, but it definitely could be improved, and I'm confident that you could write an even higher scoring essay. So let's move on to your task 1. Okay, this is about the food consumed. It would be really helpful if I had the image here. I'll see if I can find it, if I can figure out which image this is. But when you do write task 1s for us, it's really great if you can include the image. Let's see what you said. The given pie chart illustrates the percentage of consumed food in the world in 2014 in 7 different varieties. Overall, it is evident from the data that the majority of the people ate meat, because it's in 2014, ate meat, while the least consumption was of rice in the given period. That I think would be better. Let me see if I can find this. I found the image. I just copied it and pasted it onto your document. So let's keep going. Let's see. You said so meat was the most consumed. Yes. And then you said the least consumed was rice. So also correct. Good. Okay, fine. The highest proportion of food that was consumed was mainly protein. Okay. The percentage registered to the people who ate meat was just under 1/3. Good. Followed by fish, which had over a quarter in that single year. Are there any other proteins? No. Okay, fine. Next, cereals were barely eaten at 11.1%. All right, that's interesting. I disagree with your usage of the word barely. It's 1/10 of the consumption. And in fact, it's interesting because it's the third most consumed food. So I'm surprised that you've used the word barely. In fact, the other 1, 2, 3, 4 categories were eaten less. So I disagree with the use of the word barely. Instead, let's say, honestly, since you're talking about carbohydrates, maybe you could have put cereals in those as well. I mean, I have to, review my science a little bit, but I think that cereals might have gone better in the next category. In fact, you might have wanted to do that for a variety of other reasons. If you look at this chart, you could see that the next 3 all have really similar figures, don't they? So you've got this 11.7, 10.5, 10.6. So you could have put the 3 of them together, and I think that would have been a very good way of organizing this. I don't think I would have put it here, okay? So I might have stopped my paragraph here, and then I would have continued. So again, you can't use on the other hand because you have not used on the one hand. Instead, just use in contrast. So in contrast, it can be clearly seen from the information given that the minority of food eaten was mostly carbohydrates. Okay. Rice showed 2.5%, only which had the least among, I don't understand that sentence. So rice showed 2.5% only, which was the least among all the food. Then bread followed with 5.5% for vegetables and fruits, which was eaten with the same. This is awkward. It's not a full sentence. So it's difficult to understand this. Now, so this is really interesting what you've done. Let me see. Okay, fine. So you started off with the top three, and then you went to the very bottom, and then you kind of worked your way backwards. So I understand that, but it was a little hard to follow. I also didn't understand this here for vegetables and fruits, which was eaten. I mean, that was very confusing. Partially, it's the grammar that makes it difficult. I think you meant to say something else. So, let's see. We fixed this sentence, but so now we have to fix these two. Rice, how about this? Then bread was slightly more popular with 5.5%. Okay, full stop. And then double this figure were vegetables and fruits, each at roughly 10%. Okay, so you have to use signposts. So you have to tell us, why am I selecting this piece of information? Okay, so that's why I said, slightly more popular. I'm giving you a signpost so you understand why I'm talking about bread now. And then here too, I'm comparing this with my figure for bread because it's twice as much. So it's important to make these kinds of comparisons here. Otherwise, the examiner is going to say you are giving a mechanical description. And what that is when you just kind of say, okay, so this was 11.7%, and then this category was 10.5%, and then this category was 5.5. That's called a mechanical description, and you don't want that because that's going to really lower your score. So you're going to need to make some more important connections between the data. All right. And again, the use of those signposts I think is really important as well. All right. So this is good. You're definitely off to the right start, but it does need some support, I think, and some continued feedback in order to help you improve and see the scores that you probably are hoping to see. I really would like to encourage you to sign up to the online course. I think you'll find it really immensely helpful. See if that's something you can do. I'd like to see you on it, and I'd like to see how you write using our template, using all of the suggestions that come to you from the course. So hopefully we'll see you there, and I really look forward to it. Best of luck to you.